Welcome back to the Alaskan Babble podcast, where we talk to everyday people and interview their lived experiences. Today, we are here to introduce Reid Tulloch, a teacher from Cyberlink's High School Completion Program, to talk about his experiences and what he has to say. So, take it away, Reid. What do you want to talk about today?
Boy, I have a lot to say.
I can only imagine.
Only imagine. You have a pretty good imagination too.
I do have a really good imagination.
I've seen it firsthand. Your imagination has been incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm here to be a good source of inspiration. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your journey from being uh from coming from Petersburg to here as a contact teacher in Cyberlink's High School Completion Program? This is not sponsored by Cyberlink's High School Completion Program, but in Indiana City School District.
Well, my journey started in Petersburg. I was born and raised in the same house. Well, I wasn't actually born in the house, but I was born in Petersburg.
Were you born in the barn?
I wasn't born in the barn.
Okay.
I didn't take any animals into the field. Uh,
No, that just comes
or
later
the
in life.
fence. That was later in life.
Yeah.
Although, well, I did take one animal. I think I've dispatched more animals with vehicle. No, it was
No.
two animals with
Really?
vehicles.
So we're gonna start here. I guess we're gonna start here reading his
No,
the
no.
prairie
We're
issues.
gonna back up, back up.
Okay.
Okay, so I was grew up in a log cabin, in Petersburg. It wasn't like it was out in the middle of nowhere in Petersburg. It was right downtown. Cool neighborhood, lots of friends around. Born and raised, uh, graduated there, and wanted to get out of Alaska and experience something else. So my brothers had been to college, university in Bozeman, Montana. So that's the only place I applied to. And I went there and spent I think like 5.5, 6 years there, um, getting my 4-year degree. I had to take a year off to become a Montana resident. So
Yeah. So during that time in Montana, did you ride any horses or
I did.
yeah.
I did. So they had a really great deal there where if you take, I can't remember if it was 12 or 18 credits, everything after that was free, up to 20 something credits. And so I took like fun classes like skiing and dancing and horseback riding and uh yeah, it was kind of nice taking those extra classes. So I did ride some horses. That was a good time.
Oh, that's really cool. So we would say that you would be pretty good at animal husbandry. Is that your specialty? Are you really good with animals?
I don't know about animal husbandry, but I am pretty good with animals.
That's good. Yeah.
I growing up, I was always known I had to like pet every dog that was nearby. I did get bit by a dog though.
What happened to that dog?
Nothing, because the dog was like chained up on the other side of this super tall closed off fence, and I managed to like feed it grass through the fence and it bit my finger, so it was entirely my fault.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. How did this affect your relationship with dogs, being bitten by a dog?
I didn't do anything because it was my own fault, so I didn't blame the dog at all. It was just well, it did make me a little bit more cautious, you
Hmm.
know. I didn't just try to pet like every dog. I mean, if they're like a big black husky that barked at you all the time, I kind of left it alone
Yeah,
after that. What
absolutely.
they're eating, I learned that the hard way too. If a dog's eating, not a good idea to try to pet it if it's eating. Dogs are especially nippy.
Yeah. What is your relationship with dogs now?
Well,
Do you have any dogs?
I currently have two dogs. At one point in time, I had, I don't know, four.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, they just kind of get old or different things happen, and they need to be put down.
Put down. Can you clarify what you mean by put down? Do you, yeah, I mean, dogs do get old and they do suffer, and I absolutely agree with that.
Well, I've always put down my pets in the most humane way that I could imagine.
What would those ways be
We're not
exactly?
going to go into details,
Okay,
but
we don't have to go
is
into
always
detail.
as humane as possible, as I thought possible at the time. I've learned and changed as I've gone, and in different ways of putting an animal down.
Hmm.
Um, but we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Petersburg was a great place. Montana, Bozeman, 6 years, got my degree in tech ed as a teacher. Decided, hey, I should probably do something with my degree. So I decided to um, get a teaching job in Alaska, and I went to Unalakleet.
Oh yeah, tell me more about Unalakleet. How is it like living in the village and teaching at that village?
Yeah, well, it was kind of cool. I mean, I went to a job fair and stopped by the Bering Strait School District desk, and Mr. Jim Hickerson was the superintendent. And I thought that was pretty cool. Superintendent was right there hiring, and he about hired me on the spot. And the pay was a lot better than Montana, um, by like 50%. And it was like in this remote place called Unalakleet. I called my dad up. I was like, "What do you think about Unalakleet?" And he's like, "Oh, Unalakleet. Wow, that's a great place. I've flown there before. It's there's always a light there in Unalakleet. It's always brighter or something." He's like, they had good things to say about it. I was kind of surprised. I thought he'd think I was crazy.
So for those viewers that don't know where Unalakleet is, would you be able to describe where general location of Unalakleet is at?
Yeah, Unalakleet is on the eastern coast of Norton Sound. You might be familiar with the town of Nome. It's also Norton Sound. Nome's on the north side of Norton Sound, and Euclid's on the eastern side of Norton Sound. And then Norton Sound is actually on the west coast of Alaska, so facing Alaska, or facing Russia, I should say.
So
The
could you see Russia from your backyard?
I couldn't see it from my backyard, but there were parts of my school district, Bering Strait School District, that were really close to Russia.
Well, that's really interesting. So you went from one small village to another small village, being
Well,
raised in Petersburg, you know, being that village.
I don't consider, and maybe this is a telling sign of my thoughts, but I don't consider Petersburg a small village. I mean, it's got like 3,000 people. I mean,
Yeah, I would say about 3,000 people.
it's decent size, but my in Unalakleet was like 700 people.
Okay.
And it was a little bit bigger than even the villages surrounding it because it's a little bit more of a hub community. We had a bigger airport, runway, and so some bigger airplanes would come in, centrally located. Um, yeah, so that was crazy. It was crazy to move. I got married before we moved.
What did your wife think about moving to a small village?
Well, she was all for it. I mean, I definitely would have done things differently if I were to do it over again. If I were to do it over again, um, I would have brought both dogs with. We had two dogs at the
You had
time.
two dogs. Did you leave with two dogs, or do you just have
I I
how many dogs do you have
I
left?
brought one dog with me, and
Okay.
she brought one dog with her, but she had also had an emergency C-section like 2 months before
Are
she came up,
are we
and
talking about the
so
dog or
talking about my wife.
talking about your wife? Okay.
My wife brought one dog with her and a, a baby, firstborn, Rogan.
Hmm.
Uh, and she had just had an emergency C-section and was also doing all the last minute cleaning and packing and shipping stuff. And so that was she was amazingly strong. I don't think she would have gone back and done that, and I wished I'd maybe taken the time to help out more.
Being a certified teacher working in the villages, would you recommend any time first teachers to work in the villages before they work in the city for the experience, or would you say, hold off on going to the village, get some experience before going into places like that?
I mean, it just depends on the village. Some villages are a lot rougher than others. Um, so definitely depends. It depends on your ability to handle it because some teachers can't handle it. Some people can't handle it. But some people love it. I mean, there are several people that would roll into Unalakleet, and I've heard stories of people that roll into Nome for whatever reason, and they're just like, "Man, I love it here, and I just want to spend the rest of my life here." So it's just depends on the personality, and that's most Alaskans are people who have found their way up here temporarily for whatever reason, job or family or whatever, and then they're like, "Man, I love it," and then they just find a way to stay, and they're usually a little bit divergent, no,
Divergence. Oh,
eclectic,
clever
no.
word, clever word. Yeah. So, what is in comparison to teaching in Unalakleet, what's your experience being in Anchorage or teaching in general? Do you prefer teaching in Unalakleet versus Anchorage or
Yeah,
vice
I don't know.
versa?
It was
Different
comfortable.
experience?
It wasn't really that big of a deal either way. Like I said, it's most of my focus is on my family, and teaching isn't necessarily like the biggest passion of mine. Um, I definitely liked hanging out. I mean, I'd have a hard time teaching anything other than what I am right now or a shop class. I think I'd have a hard time teaching math or social studies or reading or writing like a legit subject.
Right.
I mean, shop is more important than all those, of course. I mean, being able to learn how to do hands-on stuff is more important than learning how to do algebra, right? But I'd have a hard time teaching those classes. But I do like doing hands-on things, and I do like helping kids be more capable,
Yeah, absolutely.
self-sufficient. Um, that doesn't really answer your question, but I don't know. It's all good.
Yeah. So being an educator, what is your view of our current culture when it comes to education in general?
Well, I see where you're headed. Took a little bit. Current culture is terrible in regards to education. I mean, my wife is currently well, she just got her associate's degree in early childhood education. So she's kind of going down that career path, and she's noticed a lot of issues. Um,
Are we
like
talking about locally or
uh,
nationally?
both. I mean, all of it worldwide, maybe. I
Hmm.
mean, one of the problems with kids kind of starts as little kids, as early childhood, you know, educators and education system. I mean, we don't really value kids in the super formative years from 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, et cetera. We don't really value that time. They're just like, oh, they're little kids. Who cares? I mean, we don't pay educators who teach little kids very much. We pay them less than a regular teacher. I mean, the qualifications are less. You don't need to have as many qualifications. You don't need to have a teaching certificate to teach them. You don't need to, but those are like crazy formative years for their brain and how they're going to develop and what they're going to do after that. I mean, being able to learn in the right way and not just be like, here, write your letters, or here,
Right.
being able to have um, a play-based curriculum, being able to, I mean, is incredible. Learning how to play, learning how to expand your mind and to get good exercise and to get good um, imagination and artistic skills. I mean, that if we could nail that down first, and I think that would really help out as moving forward. That would help out with future their way that they are in the future. I mean, it helped. I mean, because right now kids are just they're done with school. They don't like school.
And I think that's the biggest problem too. What I see in education in general that really deters, or I would say the problem with education is we see it as a factory, right? Where students will learn are expected to learn at a rate that they're supposed to learn per the government, right? The government says that you need to be on this standardized testing, otherwise you're going to be left behind. When the reality is that if you look how brains are developed, every brain develops in a different way, right? At a different time, a different speed. So when you're telling every kid you need to be exactly like this,
Hmm.
It's never going to work. There's going to be always kids left behind, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem with education, at least the way I see it. And as you said as well, is that we are not valuing our children anymore in the sense that we should, or at least probably our society, I would say, is a better accurate term. And that's a big problem because I mean, essentially, if you don't value your young, you don't value your nation in a way, the way I see it. Because at the end of the day, when we get old and someone's going to wipe our asses, who's going to have to clean it? The younger people. And I would rather have someone that wipes my ass and knows how to wipe my ass properly than someone that knows how to chafe it. And it really just comes down to is knowing, that the next generation that comes after us is going to be the generation that's going to have to take care of us and the nation at the end of the day. So if you don't value them now, well, you're going to have a problem later.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could think of it that way. Kind of a selfish view, but
I mean,
but
it's true though.
but
I mean, who's going to replace us when we work? Who's going to be the
these
next teacher?
these kids are humans worthy of respect on their own and for their own sake, and
Oh,
we should want
absolutely.
to do what's best for them and treat them with value, with respect, as everybody should be treated with value and respect, regardless of your socioeconomic status, regardless of the way you look or how you act or what you do. I mean, virtually everybody should be treated with respect.
Oh, absolutely. And what I see every time is that every generation, this is the previous generation, right? Because, when I was growing up, it was like, oh, the millennials are so lazy. They're so stupid. They won't do anything right. They're going to ruin the country. They're just going to ruin it all. Right. But if you look now, Gen Z is, oh, Gen Z, they're the worst. They're the terrible. They can't even do anything. They can't read. They can't write. They can't do arithmetic. They can't do anything.
Yeah,
Now you get to the Gen Alphas. Oh, the Gen Alphas. They're just the worst of them all. They're always on their damn phones all the time. Holy shit, what are we gonna do? This world is doomed. They cannot socialize, right? And the biggest problem I see with this is that we're not showing that, is, as you said, respect for every generation, right? Because every generation does have their problems. But the reality is that every generation inherits the problems of the previous generations too, which is the
yeah,
reality of it. So, as you said, we need to look out for our kids and try to, find the best way to educate them, right? Or to have them socially acclimate, and I believe these are skills that we're not imploring to them as we should. Especially if you read books like, I'm going to shout out Jonah Hart over here. He's a really good psychologist that talks about child development, especially with Gen Z, and how especially after 9/11, people got very anxious parents, and kids started not socializing with other kids anymore and started staying with, themselves, or
hmm,
with the parents who stay within a nuclear family. Where before, I would say, with your generation, kids were more outside playing with other kids, not being on tablets or phones. But
right,
now tablets or phones are being essentially the new babysitters for parents. And that's really not a good thing for their social developmental skills, in a lot of ways. And because of that, because, technology is a blessing and a curse at the same time. And that curse is that people are becoming less able to socialize than ever before. And that really affects the children because they're not able to socialize. It's harder for them to learn,
right.
and it's a big
Well,
problem.
and part of that has to do with, I mean, it's all kind of connected, but one thing that popped in my head is family size. Like
Hmm.
having a large family, having 7 kids, there's a lot of socialization that happens in there.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
if you do it right. I mean, it's been one thing that, I mean, I really get along with my brothers. They're 8, 10, and 12 years older than me, and we all get along really well.
That's what he
Well,
says, at least.
well, actually, at the current moment, two of them are having a bit of an issue with each other, but they've always really looked positively on me as the youngest brother, and I've looked positively on them as the older brothers. We enjoy hanging out together. We look forward to times that we can spend together as brothers, and there's a lot of benefits there. And so I really wanted that for my kids, and so it was a high priority for us to like make sure that our kids got along because I've heard so many horror stories of like, oh, I hate my sister, or I hate my brother, and we don't talk anymore, and they've always hated them, and the parents don't,
They're despicable.
and the parents, didn't maybe didn't know any better to do anything different, or didn't, it didn't bother them or whatever. But so then you ended up not getting along, right? But so that was huge. So we had quite a few kids, and then we were able to that had a high priority for them getting along, and so that's kind of a safety barrier, regardless of what's going on in this outside world. Our kids are learning how to socialize and get along with other kids that are
Yeah,
different.
absolutely.
And so it's kind of cool. But the farther you get away from that, where you only have like one kid, right? Because you're afraid of overpopulation. So you only have one kid
I
or
wonder if anyone that
maybe
has
two
children are
kids.
always concerned about overpopulation. Well, we can't have another child because the world cannot fit another human being in here. It will be very bad for the population in general.
I mean, the liberal, that's one of the liberal things that, overpopulation. So don't have very many kids, right? But
We must sterilize the
yeah.
populace in general.
So, but that's kind of so that's a problem that people aren't having more kids for that reason. If you have a bigger family, then you're kind of forced to, your kids, not forced, but your kids have the opportunity to still learn how to socialize and get along with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and you're totally right on that part too. One of the biggest reasons I see, at least for most the decreasing population or the decreasing birth rates is, I would say, is our economy is one. I don't know if it's necessarily a liberal thing. I think it's a part of it's a liberal thing, but I think also too it's just becoming simply unaffordable to have children these days. Like there's no there's really no incentives to have children anymore as there was before
Because we don't value them.
because we don't value children. Although Trump did come out with a new $1,000 nest egg for every child that's going to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hadn't heard that
yeah.
yet.
He is a part of the big beautiful bill. It's $1,000 nest egg for children that are born between now and 2032, I believe. I
Okay.
could be wrong about that. I think it's between that and 32. Trump will start a savings account. He calls it the Trump savings account.
Dang, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So he's depositing $1,000 for every child that's born from now till 2032,
Yeah.
however that's going to look like. And I think that's a part of his incentive for new, for more procreation, for for bigger families, because one of his focuses on this is not a Trump podcast, by the way. I'm just putting it out there. So one of the things he wanted to work on while he was president, at least that's what he campaigned on, is that he wants more of a nuclear family again, to bring the family system back, which
Hmm.
I'm not going to deny for the most part here in the United States. I can say the family system is kind of messed up and broken at this point.
Yeah.
So trying to bring that back is a pretty big incentive for him. And that's what that $1,000 Trump saving. I'm going to make babies great again
Oh man.
in the United States.
Oh man.
They know, I know. They say I'm the greatest at putting money into savings accounts.
It's not what he says, it's how he's saying it.
No, no, that's what he said. It's exactly, look at the interviews.
Oh, I
So
love it.
that's exactly what he's saying. So
Yeah.
that's what he's doing right now for the big, beautiful bill to incentivize people to have babies. But yeah, I would say the most part because we don't value them and the government, even though they're doing the Trump bill, and they're actually increasing the amounts that you'll get in return tax returns now.
Right. Which that'll be nice. That'll be helpful.
Yeah,
But I think in more realistic ways, people need to be able to work too. So you need to have affordable childcare. But
absolutely.
but you can't have affordable childcare by not paying your childcare workers either, because that's like, oh, well, childcare needs to be affordable, so let's just not pay them very much. But because then you get low quality childcare, and then your children during those formative years are not being raised very well. They're spending, 6 to 8 hours with a high school,
Graduate.
you know, graduate, or maybe not even a graduate, or somebody that with the high school level had just graduated
We've
and doesn't
seen,
doesn't know how to parent, right? And so they're gonna naturally make some mistakes. And so
yeah.
it'd be better to have, we want to pay our child care workers, but we can't just say, oh, it's gonna be super expensive, deal with it. We have to
Well, that's Matt Walsh's take
do
on
it.
it. Have you ever heard Matt
Uh,
Walsh? So Matt Walsh, he went on and said, it's not the government's job to make childcare affordable. There should be a mom at home full time.
yeah,
That was his take on it. I was like, dude, are you out
that's
of are you out of the loop right now? That must be nice. You privileged white man.
well, even if, well, okay, there's issues with that, multiple issues with that.
Yeah,
One
absolutely.
is the fact that yeah, men are having a hard time making enough to be able to have a parent stay home for
Well,
the
you can't
kids.
survive on a single income anymore.
That's
That's the
one of the
reality.
problems. But even if that was possible, it would still be bad because you can't you can't expect all women, to just want to stay at home with their kid.
Well, that should be a choice, right?
Well, yeah, it
That's a
should be a choice.
choice.
Maybe some guys want to stay at home with their kid. I mean, it is great and it is healthy to have a parent stay at home, but it's not healthy if they don't want to do that,
Yeah.
because then they're not gonna they're gonna be like drinking big glasses of wine all the time or whatever
Wait, is it
because they're
red
having to
or
deal with
white?
it. Both, no.
Probably both. They're just gonna mix it in with each other.
They're gonna have issues. You're gonna have all kinds of issues, and that was part of the problem, is my understanding. Like part of the problem after World War I or World War II,
Yeah.
when the government was like, "Well, that's what's going to happen. We're going to pay the men really well, and we're going to encourage the women to just stay at home with the kids all the time, and the men are going to come home, and then they're gonna be able to do whatever they want and not have to take part in the family rearing, and the women have to do it all.
Yeah.
They won't have to work,
Well,
and it was
we're definitely
it
far from the
failed.
50s now,
Yeah,
right? We're definitely far. I can talk to my mother about this, and she would say things were much better in the 50s. Like things, they were really good. The family system was
oh
really
yeah, yeah.
great.
When they were like prescribing women cocaine and
No, 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 no. See, here's the deal.
yeah, better back then.
Yeah, it's so much better back then. So
Yeah,
much better. It's actually really funny because if you look back in like psychology in the 20th century, there was a lot of females. There was a lot of females that would go to these psychologists, and the psychologists would be like, "Oh, well, you just have to be more dedicated to the family, right?" Or shenanigans like that. Instead of seeing them as a whole person, they only see them as a homemaker person, right?
right.
And again, there's nothing wrong with being a homemaker if that's what you desire. If that's what your dream is to be a
They didn't
homemaker.
truly value women back then,
No, they
even
didn't.
as equals either. They're just
No.
like, oh, you don't really feel pain the same way
No,
men
you
do.
don't. That's hysteria. You're feeling
Yeah,
hysterical right now.
yeah.
It's time to get a lobotomy, Deborah.
Oh my
Deborah,
goodness.
it's time to get the lobotomy.
Well, yeah,
You
you
would like
check at
some,
home and you
yeah,
don't
just take
want
her home.
to, and we've given you lots of different drugs, and it's going poorly, so we're gonna call you mentally insane
Yeah,
because you were,
hysterical.
yeah,
You're
hysterical. So we're gonna
hysterical.
ship you off to somewhere else. It's gonna do electroshock
Yeah,
therapy.
yeah, thank God we have learned from the 20th century.
Jeez. Jeez.
There was Dr. Rogers, which is one of my he's a very big inspiration for me. He was probably the only few 20th century psychologists that I actually enjoyed seeing. He did a interview with a housemaker that actually got divorced to really promote motivational interviewing. And the one thing I could think about is how brave that woman is to come on camera and how progressive she was to actually go there and talk to Dr. Rogers about her issues. Because back then, saying that you're divorced in the 50s was actually a really bad thing. Like you don't say you're divorced, but she was able to do it. And I thought it was actually a really inspirational thing, really good way to show the power of resiliency, you know. And, going back to your point, even talking about Matt Walsh, right? As you said, with childcare being so unaffordable, especially in Anchorage, it's like doing a second rent check, right? Is that, you know, it all just comes back in that full circle. If you don't value your children, if you don't value, if the government or the society doesn't value your children, that's a part of the issue.
Yeah.
It's a, it's a
It,
chain reaction.
and I don't necessarily think that all of it has to come from the government either. It doesn't all have to be subsidized. That's one solution.
Do that. No.
Right.
Yeah, they don't.
Why can't we pay people enough so that they can actually afford high quality, expensive childcare?
Well, that's what it used to be, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all about that inflation, right? It's all inflation at the end of the day. It's that the service of goods have risen explanation. Oh, wow, I can say that word.
Exponentially.
Exponentially, right? And, everything's just getting more expensive. Like if you look back in the 40s until now, if you look at college prices, they went up what, over 1,000% or something like that for
Well,
tuition.
I mean, you're gonna bring up college
Well, I'm
and
just bringing it up in general. I'm
universities,
just
and
bringing it up in general, right? Just in general,
I have
right?
issues with that. I mean, I'm a blue collar like shop class
Well, blue
promoting.
collar
Let's
shop
like,
color.
not everybody needs to go to college, right? I mean, I can talk about that too.
Well, we can. That's totally fine. But
Go
what
me
I'm
bro.
what I'm getting back to is that the requirements for getting jobs are becoming higher, right? But the pay they offer is becoming lower, and it doesn't, match the amount that inflation should actually cover, right?
Right.
So that's why things are just getting so expensive. It's
Yeah.
just things are
Well,
becoming more
so then you have
unaffordable.
to look like, well, where's the money going?
Where is the
Where's the
money
money
going?
going? And I think the comment is like, oh, it's just going to these really rich people. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the money is going to these companies.
Well, the
Companies,
companies are the rich people.
no, they're not. Companies
Yeah,
are
they are.
owned by shareholders and they help out pay the rich people, but the companies themselves have super high profit margins that don't need to be there. There's no
Absolutely.
reason for a company to have that high of a profit margin. And so I think that's where the money should come from. I don't think it should be like, oh, we need to tax the uber rich. No, we need to, and it's not even that we need to tax the companies. We need to figure out a way for companies to have a smaller profit margin and pay their employees more. They need to take their profit margin and put it into their employees. It doesn't need to be
Well,
taxed. It just needs to be put into their
well, I
employees.
totally agree with that. I think you're right, is that, employees do need to get paid more. But the reality is that if they can get richer, they're going to try to keep reaching those numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at this is a weird example, but I'll give it Xbox, right? Xbox have been making incredible numbers lately, but they're laying off massively at the same time, right?
Hmm.
And it's all just because they want to reach that profit margin, but they don't want to pay the people that actually run their company,
Right. It's
right?
just
So, and I
it's
say
nuts.
Xbox, I'm at say Microsoft here. And that's the biggest problem is that they want to look at profit margins versus the people that run it, right? And that's the biggest issue.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to reduce your workforce numbers so that you can bump up the people, and pay the people that you have a lot more, I mean, that might be acceptable
If they did that,
if they did that.
if they did that, but they don't.
Yeah.
They just keep
And
laying off.
right.
It's like even if you look at, the recent kerfuffle with Dunleavy and the schools, that was kind of like the same thing, right? He wanted to do a lot of budget cuts. He wanted to, make sure he makes the budget deficit lower than it can the BSA, but yet our teachers getting paid more? Probably not.
I don't know. It depends on negotiated agreements. I mean, having a higher, budget in Alaska is definitely going to help, at least in our school district, is going to help us negotiate a higher
Sure, and I
wage
totally agree that.
successfully.
But,
But
with all the layoffs that's had happened, Is anyone actually getting paid more? Where's the money actually going to? That's the
Well,
real
it's just
question.
the money's just making up for a shortfall, so it's already spent in a sense. So they can't. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We just have to incentivize or figure out a way for companies to have a smaller to pay their employees more and take that money from their profit margin so they have a smaller profit margin. They still need to make a profit.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, they still need to make a profit and they still need to pay for their upgrades and expanding, but there's just no reason to have such a high profit margin.
So is this your way of asking for a raise?
Well, no, because it's a school district, it's a publicly funded thing. It's not a for-profit corporation, so it's different. I think if I was working for a for-profit corporation that was at a high profit margin, it absolutely would be asking for a raise, but so how can we make that happen? Well, we need to make the workforce more scarce to some extent. We need to have workers be more valuable, so valuable that companies feel like they have to pay more.
Yeah, and that's where it came back to people that come out of trades or come out of universities. They were highly qualified, highly trained, and they were needed, right? So companies would pretty much say, no, I'm going to pay as much as I can so I don't lose you. But as you said, because of competition, and I would say because everything's becoming inflamed with a massive amount of workers at the same time, I would say. The need to pay them more is becoming less, and the desire to keep them is becoming less as well.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah. I think people could I think a lot of people are making poor financial decisions as well, I mean, if I were to have social, programs that classes that everybody had to take. I mean, everybody should take a financial literacy class. Everybody
totally.
should in high school should learn how to do their well, this kind of comes back full circle, I guess, a little bit to our broken school system, but as a school system, we should be teaching kids how to do their taxes and how to manage their money and how to make smart money choices and how to be better parents and how to parent right, and how to foster those good things with your kids and we could be teaching our kids how to value younger kids. Like that's what we should be focusing on, but instead we're focusing on, oh, are we getting good standards? Do we know algebra? Do we know geometry? Do we know like fancy literature books? And it's like all that stuff is maybe there if we have time for it, but man, we're missing out on all of this important stuff. And in the past, the past theory is like, oh, well, that should be coming from your parents. That should be coming from your parents. Well, parents aren't doing that anymore, or parents don't know how to do that anymore. So the schools need to step in and teach those skills because we have a whole bunch of kids that have to learn that stuff the hard way, and they make all kinds of mistakes along the way, and then or they don't. They just never learn, and they're just learning. They're just living, for their entire life. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're not making good financial decisions, and they're not able to. I mean, they're eating out all the time, you know, instead of saving up money.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. And that's kind of the downfall. I watched a video recently called Why Gen Z is Living in Luxury Poor, right? Luxury poor as in they are able to get all this Gucci stuff, right? All this brand name stuff, but they're always poor. One of the things that the guy said, I should probably put a YouTube link so people can watch this too. He concludes that the goods back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, like consumer goods were highly expensive, like computers, highly
Hmm.
expensive and just utter shit at the same time. Like no one wanted to buy it. But now and also to that point, everything was less expensive. The like rent was less expensive, mortgage was less expensive, colleges were less expensive, training was less expensive, but consumer good was really expensive, right? But now everything is actually reversed, where
Hmm.
consumer goods are actually really cheap in comparison to everything else. So, for Gen Z especially to get that rise to feel like they're kind of like making it in the world, right? they buy this Gucci stuff to say, hey, I may not have a
Hmm.
house, I'm not getting to those milestones that I want to get to, but
Hmm.
I'm getting that consumer satisfaction because I'm able to buy this, Nike shoes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Yeah. That's why I was kind of excited. I mean, who knows how it would actually play out, but in theory, I mean, I kind of liked the idea of tariffs, and tariffs would, like crazy high tariffs on everything, because then these companies would have to they would charge a bunch more, and then people would actually be buying less of the goods, and then these companies, in order to in order to, like, they'd have to figure out a way
To
to
redo their business plan.
to redo their business plan, but they would have to reduce their profit margin.
Yeah.
They would have to eventually, like, they would pass that on to the consumer, but eventually they're going to have to, like, find a way to be more efficient, and those good, but people are going to be buying less. I guess that was more the thing is people, because right now we have this, like you were saying, we have
Yeah,
this
we have
consumer
this
society. People
the
are buying
consumer
all kinds of
society.
crap, myself included. And if it was more expensive, I'd be buying less, and I'd be making do with what I have better. I'd be making what I have stretch longer,
Yeah.
and that's going to be better for the world and society and
Yeah, and I
everything.
can see that. Like, if in a perfect world where tariffs would work, right? You know, the idea of tariffs, at least I want to say what Trump's idea is it's more like an incentive, A, for companies to invest in America, right? To bring their goods to America so America could become an industrial zone again. And B is to get residuals from other countries by charging them tariffs too. In one sense, I personally have not seen the benefits of tariffs yet. Personally, if I
Yeah.
go to the market, everything's still really expensive,
There
right?
hasn't really been that many tariffs. Trump just keeps backing off
Yeah,
on
he
it.
keeps backing up. He keeps
Wait a little
backing
bit
off from
longer.
it.
He's backed off a ton, and so I was like, oh well, it's not gonna really happen.
Well, I
So
think he just used it as a a
a big stick,
device, a stink. He uses it for a
big stick.
stink, and he used it also as a chip, right? Because everyone knows that if he imposes tariffs as much as other people impose tariffs, it's going to be not good, right,
Yeah.
for the economy in general globally, right? And I think that's something that he's using as a bargaining chip for people to come in for the most part. I've seen has worked. People I've noticed that different countries would much rather bargain to be out of tariffs and come up with different deals than be used for
Yeah.
tariffs. Because he met recently with the European Union to talk about a new trade deal, which actually went well. I bet there's gonna be people that are gonna be screaming at us because they're like, tariffs, yeah, yeah, no.
Well,
But
and you're right. I mean, there's going to be. I am definitely talking from a bit of a place of privilege when it comes to tariffs,
yeah, you
and
privileged person.
I'm doing fine, and so I personally won't be that affected from tariffs. There's definitely going to be some people that are going to feel the hurt.
Yeah,
They're going to
absolutely.
feel the hurt, and I see that, and it sucks, and I don't know what there is to do about it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the bad decision.
Well,
I think
it's the
that's probably
decision
the
that
right.
hurt. At the very minimum, it's the decision that hurts, right?
It's and ultimately it's the reason why it hurt. It's going to hurt a lot because it's been coming for a long time. It's the massive trade deficit that's been going on for a long time is kind of the reason. I mean, if we would had stayed on top of it sooner, then it wouldn't be so painful.
Yeah, and that's the fault of the government not just keeping up with the trade deficit for a while,
Yeah.
which is something I totally agree. It even comes back to the big beautiful bill, the big beautiful bill. You know, uh, there's a lot of people that are going to be suffering because Medicare, Medicaid is going to be
Mhm.
cut, which I'm not too fond of. The only thing I'm really satisfied with the PPP when it comes to
Big
Mm,
beautiful
the
bill.
big beautiful bill. It's the most important, gorgeous bill in the world. I know they tell me, right?
Big beautiful bill.
Big beautiful bill. It's because the work requirement, that's something I can agree. If you're able to work, you should go to work. Right. I do agree with that. And I don't agree with all the cuts they're making either. Especially the biggest problem I have with the big beautiful bill is you know, we're cutting all these programs, right? But yet we're still going to be $3 trillion more in debt. And that's the part that never made sense to me is like, how could you cut all these programs, but still be in trillions of dollars of debt by the time you leave?
Maybe, just maybe those programs weren't quite so inefficient as we thought.
Perhaps not.
Maybe. We don't
Maybe. We
know. It's
don't
hard to
know.
tell.
I don't know. I just know that I wanted to cut the Department of Education. Social Security will not be taxed. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even going back to colleges was something I spoke to you about before, which I think you brought up the point, is that, with the big beautiful bill not, passing as much funding for FAFSA and for government student loans and wanting students to go more towards private loans, perhaps it will make colleges rethink their ridiculous pricing model they do
Right.
for their businesses. Because yes, thankfully for me, I'm gonna get out before this starts getting really ugly. But for those who are beginning, it's gonna look really ugly.
Well, I mean, yeah, speaking of college, I think fewer people should be going to university.
Oh, I
Fewer
absolutely
people should be
agree.
going to college.
Yeah,
Now, people definitely need to be going to some sort of a
training.
training
Yeah,
program after high school, like absolutely some sort
Pro-
of training
pro-
program. But there's
training program.
there's apprenticeships, there's um, all kinds of businesses and careers out there that you don't have to go to a university for, right?
Yeah,
I mean, go to your local college or maybe even your university that's near you that's going to give you in-state tuition and be cheaper and affordable. I mean, at least for a couple of years. I mean, until you figure out what you want to do. And
exactly.
then you could be like, oh, I want to become a doctor. Well, then absolutely go to university and
Well,
go to a
not
good one, right? And
yeah.
go to an expensive one and rack up a ton of debt because you're going to be a doctor. And that's fine because you're going into a high paying
I don't know about
place.
that. I read a lot of Reddit's, I'm on the student loan Reddit page, and there's a lot of doctors that get out that will owe like $7,500 a month for their student loans. And that's bananas to me,
Yeah.
right? And I know what you're
But
gonna say. Well, they're doctors, so they can afford it. Have you seen? I don't think interns or residents don't get paid that much. It's not really when they become a
yeah,
fellow.
you're going to be broke for a while.
You're gonna have to pay seventy-five hundred
But
dollars
how
without
many
being
broke
paid.
doctors do you know?
Are you talking about broke doctors right after they get out of their
Like by the time a doctor's into their middle
fellowship?
age, their 40s,
Yeah,
are
they're
they
not
broke?
broke. They're not broke,
No, they're
no.
not broke.
But they're broke when they need to,
Sure, they're
do student loans.
yeah, of course they're going to be broke then, but
How
they're
can a
not going to
broke
be broke
doctor,
later.
how could a broke
That's the
doctor
whole
pay?
point.
No. So when you're in this is might be where I'm wrong, but when you're going through your stages of being a doctor, right? You get paid pennies, pennies to do your job, right? It's not until you become a fellow, it's beyond residency. When you're beyond residency, you're gold, right? But during that period, you're not in residence. When you are in residence, you're making pennies, absolute
Well,
pennies.
maybe they should start paying doctors during that period of
Oh,
time.
absolutely. And that's what most externships are doing at this point is they're
Yeah.
trying to pay people because externships before was you're not getting paid anything. We're expecting you to work full time.
Right. Which I mean that is a little I think a successful program is one that's going to pay you as you're working or learning.
Yeah.
Like an apprenticeship programs are great. I mean, you're getting work done, so they're not losing money on you. And you're also getting an education, right? And you're learning how to do a trade or something. But there's so many trades out there, so many opportunities that don't require a straight up 4 year degree. And there's so many kids who are just told this like
Go to
lie.
college. Yeah.
Yeah, go to college. Just go to college.
Just
Go
go
to
to
college. You need
college.
a 4 year degree. And they're told this lie. And so then they go to college and they don't know what they're going to college for. And then they end up with, and then we've made it too easy. I mean, Mike Rose talked about this quite a bit too, but they've made it too easy to get loans,
They did
almost
make it way too
too
easy.
easy for this ungodly amount of money that you can spend on college. And
Well,
and
yeah.
it's all there and you can keep spending money even though you're super in debt and have no job and no way to pay it back at all or even start paying it back as long as you keep going to college. So you just keep going to college until you rack up this huge debt. And then when you try to leave college to join the rest of the world, you
You're
realize you
broke.
don't,
You're a debt slave.
not only are you broke, but you don't actually have any money making skills.
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem, right? I'm gonna go into
You need a
pottery. I'm
you
gonna
need
do a
to pick up a
pottery.
certificate in
Yeah,
order to
right.
actually get a real job. Like you end up pumping the gas at the gas station with your 4 year degree
Yeah.
because you can't actually
And that's the
do
biggest
much with
problem,
it.
right? And like you, always had a problem with when students come to me and they always say, Tyken, should I go to college? And I always ask them, what do you want to do? I don't know. I just kind of want to do the college thing, right? And I kind of I always tell them don't do it, right? Because they're going to become debt slaves for nothing,
Yeah.
right? I always tell
Or
them if
go to a community
go to a
college where
community
it's cheap.
college, do something
Community
really
college
cheap.
out that
Like there's a student that recently graduated here, right? That is going to a university out of state. And it blows my mind because I'm like, why would you do that? The tuition is twice as much going out of state and you don't know what you want to do. Why would you put yourself through that? Right? And that's my biggest problem. It's like it's as you said, financial literacy, right? There's no financial literacy and we don't teach that. And so we have a generation that goes in, and that's including the millennials. Like my generation, my guidance counselor, if you're listening to this, Mr. Burkhardt, I'm so very sorry. He's probably going to disagree with me. He's going to listen to my podcast, and when I go to Maryland, he's going to find me, tie me up, and throw me into the Maryland swamps with the blue crabs.
that'd be okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine. So he would really say, it's always good to go to college,
Yeah,
right?
that's what mine
And
said.
that's the biggest problem is that we're so much enforcing the rhetoric that you need to go to college if you're going to be successful, right? When that's not really the truth of the
Yeah,
matter. And it's as you said before, is that less people need to go to college. And it's not because we want less educated people. It's because back in the day, college degrees were coveted, right? It was hard, it was rare, and it was really difficult to get.
yeah,
And now it's a bargain sale for colleges, for degrees. And it's especially a bargain sale because you can get a degree in anything, literally anything under the sun. If I wanted to get a degree in in sexuality, I can I can do it. There's a program out there just for me, right? But what am I going to get out of it? What am I going to be? A sex counselor?
right. Or psychology.
Or,
Getting a
oh, okay.
degree in
Okay.
psychology.
Yeah, sure.
What are you going to do with a degree in psychology
Anything. You can do anything. Yeah. You can go into
or
education.
philosophy?
Philosophy, okay, that's a little bit different
Get a
one.
degree, but even well, yeah, but even you get your degree in psychology,
Sure.
you still have to do something else. You still have to go through some other program to be able to get a job, right?
It's the same thing in a sense for,
You still have to pick up some certificates or some other
yeah, but it's the
things.
same thing for teaching, right? You still had to get a certification to be a teacher. You
Yeah,
still have to go through the ringer. I don't think that changes no matter what degree you get,
yeah.
right? Really, when it comes to if you were going to go,
Philosophy is funny though.
philosophy is
Like
a stupid degree to
literally,
get.
what can you get with a
Yeah,
degree in
you're
philosophy?
you're gonna question why you got a degree in
And
philosophy.
and
That's gonna
you,
be your,
yeah, and you this guy, this couple who came to Unalakleet and they taught there, and they're a wonderful couple, and they like to play video games all the time. And she was a teacher, and he had a degree in philosophy, and he didn't do anything except like play video games because he couldn't do anything.
he he
He
was
had to go
making
back
he
to
was ready for
college.
YouTube videos,
I know.
man. He's gonna go the philosophy of Call of Duty.
He had to go back to college to pick up some other skill or trade to do something. I just thought that was hilarious.
And I think it really depends if you're gonna go back to, psychology, right? For the viewers that don't know, I'm graduating with a degree as counseling psychology, you dick. But, it's just it's how you market yourself, right? And then where
Yeah.
you want to go. Like for me, I'm going to go into education, right? And either teaching, to getting certification in teaching, or going to guidance counseling, which no matter what, you're going to need your type A or type C certification, right? I believe the lie is when people come out of school, they think, oh, I'm automatically going to get a good job just because I have a college degree,
Mhm.
right? It's more than that. It's like you need that and work experience, right? That's what makes you desirable.
Right. Work experience
Work,
is important.
it's very important, right?
It's huge. You can't, I mean, sometimes I've heard stories of companies that are more willing to hire somebody with several years of work experience than somebody with a master's.
Oh, absolutely, and I can see
Like,
why too.
yeah,
Yeah. So if you're asking me specifically what I'm gonna do, don't worry. I have a mouth-drooling resume that would make employers just drool. The drips of saliva coming down their chin will hit the paper
they're just hit it and go right through the paper.
right through the paper. It'll be just like an xenomorph's acid. Exactly.
Uh,
So, yeah, it's just when it comes to colleges in general and with students that want to go to college, and when you graduate college, you gotta be picky at what you do, right? If it's needed in the industry, you're gonna be great. But if you go in for freaking philosophy,
yeah,
screwed, man. You're just screwed. You spent
yeah,
4 years and insurmountable amount of debt just to argue if a wall is behind you or if it doesn't exist when you
yeah,
don't look, right?
exactly.
So that's the biggest problem with it.
Yeah. So there's lots of problems,
Lots of problems.
lots of problems.
What are we gonna do?
Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, is there anything else that you comes to mind for you that you would like to speak to the viewers of Alaska? Wisdom from a teacher, from a shop teacher that has not yet cut
Just
off
a
his own
shop
thumb.
teacher. I don't know much of this philosophy stuff.
Well,
Just a
you
shop
should
teacher.
talk
I don't
about it.
know.
Yeah, the philosophy of not hitting your hand with a hammer.
Oh, I'm sure there's lots we could talk about, but we've already been talking for a long time.
Are you telling me you want to leave?
I'm saying we should probably wrap this up.
Wow.
I know.
Uh,
I'm sorry. I do have a family. Remember those large family of kids? They're sitting
No,
there
I
like
actually
waiting
don't.
for me, being
Y-
like, "Dad, where's Dad?"
That's my father.
And my wife's like, "He's supposed to be helping with dinner," and
Yeah,
all those sorts of
I can
things.
only imagine Smeagol is just waiting.
We only call them Schmiegel, and we can't remember their names.
Schmeagle. Can't believe you called Schmeagle.
Well, Schmiegel was it's still got good connotations.
Schmeagle.
Yeah.
My precious
Well, no, that was
Schmeagle.
before he became.
Oh, sorry. Let me rewind. What do you have in your hand, Diggle? Is that my birthday present? No, it's mine. I want it. It's my birthday, Diggle. Yeah, that was the good part of Schmeagle right there.
That was Schmiegel before he became bad, right? So
Yeah.
got that.
All right. Well, viewers, thank you for listening to another episode of Alaskan Babble. I'm glad you had a good time listening to us speak, you know, for the most part. I don't know about Reed. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was good. We talked about a lot. We certainly babbled.
We definitely babbled.
Lots of babble.
Well, theoretically, next week I should be talking to a guy named Van Lee. He should be a hoot.
He's also gonna babble a lot.
He'll babble a lot, and I'm looking forward to it.
You should see you should have him listen to this podcast
Yeah.
before he does his podcast, because then he'll be able to continue
It's going to be really
respond.
interesting. It's going to be really interesting talking to him.
Yeah.
He is a character.